In the world of ancient warfare, there are battles that decide empires, and then there are battles that echo through the centuries. What you're about to hear is the second kind. Imagine this, an army 10,000 strong, marching not as soldiers, but as shadows of the dead. Men forged in memory, shaped by humiliation, driven by a single unbreakable purpose. These were the Spartans who returned after Thermopylae, and they marched not to defend Greece, but to avenge it. 10 years earlier, at the narrow pass of Thermopylae, King Leonidas and his 300 warriors made their legendary last stand. It was one of the most iconic acts of courage in human history, a handful of men holding back one of the largest armies the ancient world had ever seen. Their sacrifice shook the very foundations of Persia's seemingly unstoppable war machine. But Thermopylae was never the end of the story. It was the beginning. Because that defeat, tragic, heroic, unforgettable, became something far more powerful, a seed of vengeance. The Spartans who marched now were not guided by hope or politics or the defense of Greek freedom. They marched with something colder, sharper, a memory carved into their bones. Every step was a reminder of the king and the comrades they had lost. Every heartbeat carried the weight of a promise made at the hot gates. This wasn't a campaign. This was retribution. And that is why this moment in history matters. What happened next at Plataea would not only avenge Thermopylae, but shatter the Persian invasion forever. It would mark the turning point where Greece stopped merely surviving and began to fight back. This is the story of a ghost army born from sacrifice, fueled by vengeance, and destined to change the course of the ancient world. The year is 479 B.C.E., and Greece is hanging by a thread. Persia's campaign has already carved a path of devastation across the land. Athens lies in ashes, its temples burned, its people scattered. Entire cities have been wiped out. The greatest empire the world had ever seen had marched straight into the heart of Greece, and it looked like nothing could stop it. Xerxes, confident he had broken the Greek spirit, returned to Persia with the bulk of his forces. To him, the war was all but won. He left behind one of his most trusted commanders, Mardonius, a general with a massive army at his back, tasked with finishing the conquest. And Mardonius came with more than soldiers. He came with arrogance. Believing Greece was beaten, he offered what he called peace. Spare your cities, surrender your freedom, and bow to the great king. Athens answered first with a cold, defiant refusal. Sparta followed, unmoved, unyielding. To the Greeks, this was never about land or wealth. It was about something Persia could never understand. Independence, hard-won, fiercely guarded, and worth more than life itself. Here, the divide becomes unmistakable. Persia, an empire built on obedience and domination. Greece, a patchwork of fiercely independent cities bound by discipline, pride, and the memory of those who had already fallen. This wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a clash of worlds. And as Mardonius marched forward, sure of his superiority, he had no idea that the Spartans, those quiet shadows born from Thermopylae, were preparing to show him just how wrong he was. In Sparta, grief didn't lead to despair. It transformed into purpose. Families who lost sons at Thermopylae didn't crumble. They prepared. Mothers honed spears for the boys who remained. Fathers drilled survivors with a fiercer discipline than ever before. Across the city, an unspoken vow formed. The dead of Thermopylae would be avenged. When the Spartan army finally marched, it wasn't a roar of rage. It was a cold, disciplined silence. 10,000 elite hoplites, led by Pausanias, the regent who carried the memory of Leonidas on his shoulders, advanced with the precision of a machine. No speeches, no theatrics. Spartans simply marched. Then something remarkable happened. Greece followed. More than 70,000 hoplites from Athens, Corinth, Megara, and dozens of rival cities rallied behind the Spartan banner. Old grudges and bitter rivalries were thrown aside. For the first time in generations, Greece stood united as one shield wall, one purpose, one nation refusing to kneel. Spartan resolve had sparked something greater, a unified Greek war machine ready to turn back the largest empire the ancient world had ever faced. When the armies meet on the wide plains of Plataea, Mardonius believes the battlefield is his. Open ground favors Persian cavalry, speed and sheer numbers. He's certain this will be the final blow that crushes Greek resistance forever. But the Greeks don't behave the way he expects. The night before the battle, the Persian camp erupts in celebration. Music, feasting, confidence overflowing. They believe victory is guaranteed. Meanwhile, across the field, the Greek camp sits in absolute silence. No songs, no torches, only warriors sharpening spears and whispering prayers into the dark. It's not fear, it's preparation. At dawn, Persian cavalry charges with full force. Hooves thunder across the plains, arrows rain from above, yet the Greek line, especially the Spartan phalanx, does not move. Shield to shield, spear to spear, they stand like an iron wall. Charges slam into them, arrows clatter off bronze, but the formation holds, unyielding, unshaken, unbreakable. Hours drag on. Persian attacks grow frantic, then confused. Why won't the Greeks counterattack? Why won't they panic? Because Sparta understands something Persia never learned. Discipline outlasts arrogance. When the Persians finally begin to tire, Pausanias gives the signal. No war cry, no dramatic gesture, just a simple command. And the Spartan line begins to move. It's not a charge, it's a cold, deliberate advance, shields locked, spears angled, feet pounding in perfect rhythm. The exhausted Persian cavalry crashes into them one last time and shatters like pottery against stone. Then comes the move that changes everything. Instead of driving straight into the Persian front, the Spartan right wing pivots, cutting across the battlefield with surgical precision. Their target isn't the infantry, it isn't the cavalry, it's Mardonius himself. It's a tactic the world will later see in the brilliance of Alexander the Great. But Sparta uses it here first, with deadly effect. In the chaos of dust and shouting, a single Spartan spear strikes true, piercing Mardonius atop his white horse. His fall isn't just the death of a general, it's the death of Persian morale. Instantly, the mighty Persian army begins to unravel. Confusion turns to fear, fear turns to panic. The battlefield dissolves into a flood of fleeing soldiers, the largest invasion force Greece had ever faced collapsing in real time. And the Spartans, they don't cheer, they don't slow down, they advance like executioners, silent, relentless, dismantling what remains of the empire's pride. What remains of the Persian army flees toward their fortified camp, a sprawling refuge of walls, tents and barricades, but instead of shelter, it becomes a tomb. The Greek forces surround it from all sides, sealing every exit. Inside, panic spreads like wildfire. Persian officers shout orders, trying desperately to restore order, but before discipline can return, the Spartan war horns sound across the plain. Not a cry of triumph, a call of judgment. Moments later, the Spartans hit the walls. Barricades splinter under their assault. Shields slam into wooden gates. And once the Spartans force their way inside, the advantage of Persian numbers evaporates. The cramped space turns the camp into a killing ground where Greek training, discipline, and unity overwhelm everything in their path. Hoplites press forward in tight formations, while the Persians, disoriented and trapped, fall into chaos. This isn't slaughter for conquest. This is retribution. As the camp falls, the Greeks discover the centerpiece of Persian luxury, Mardonius's grand tent, overflowing with gold, silver, and riches. It stands in stark contrast to the memory driving the Spartan army, Leonidas, armed only with a simple cloak and a spear. The symbolism is unmistakable. Persia had fought with wealth, arrogance, and excess. Sparta fought with memory, discipline, and unbreakable will. And on this day, memory proves stronger than an empire. As the smoke rises over Plataea and the last Persian banners collapse into the dirt, the truth becomes undeniable. This was more than a victory. This was the end of Persia's dream of conquering the West. Far across the sea, Xerxes, once the ruler of the largest empire on earth, receives the news he never believed possible. His elite warriors are gone. His trusted generals are dead. The greatest invasion the ancient world had ever seen has been shattered by a coalition of city-states he once dismissed as insignificant. Greece has not just survived. Greece has won. And yet in the aftermath, Sparta does what only Sparta would do. There are no grand festivals, no golden monuments, no boasting armies parading through the streets. Instead, atop the battlefield, they raise a simple stone and carve a single, unembellished line. Here, the Greeks fought the Persians and broke their power. No exaggeration, no poetry, just truth. It's the perfect reflection of the Spartan ethos. Discipline over vanity, action over words, and it carries a message that still echoes across history. Even the mightiest empire can fall, not to wealth, not to numbers, but to men who fight not for conquest, but for home.